Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new podcast. Today, we are going to speak about early or very important women in Islam, in Islamic history, in Islamic mysticism, and the Islamic tradition. And today, we are going to mention about Rabia al-Adawiyya. She was a very important woman from the city of Basra in Iraq, and she belonged to a school of mysticism, tasawwuf, in Islam, and she was quite very famous. In fact, whenever we speak of Islamic mysticism and someone asks about women were mystics, Rabia al-Adawiyya, she's the first name. And in general, when we speak about mysticism, either male or female, her name appears because she was the professor, the instructor, the guide to men and women alike, and she was quite popular. As I mentioned, she belonged to the people of Basra in Iraq, and there's a story that a man by the name Sufyan Thawri, went to her and posed some questions and requested her advice and prayers. And the story goes that this man, Sufyan, came to her, extended his hand, and said, "God, I ask you for security." Rabia, she wept. Some tears came from her eyes. So Sufyan asked her, "What makes you weep? What's happening?" She said, "You have brought me to weeping." Sufyan said, "How?" She replied, "Don't you know that security from the world means abandoning God, and that you are now defiled by this?" Rabia said, "Everything has a fruit, and the fruit of divine knowledge is to come face to face with God Most High." She also said, "I ask God's forgiveness for my lack of sincerity in asking His forgiveness." Sufyan asked her, "What is the best thing by which the servant seeks nearness to God Most High?" She said, "That he knows that the servant loves nothing in this world or the next except God." One day, in another story with the same man, Sufyan said to her, "We have been saddened by God." She said, "Don't lie. If you were saddened, the world would not be enjoyable to you." She also said, "My sorrow is not because I am sorrowful. My sorrow is because I am not sorrowful." So, as you can see, a couple of phrases and instructions, teachings, sayings from this woman have been preserved. And if you notice, I just mentioned a few of them, all in the context of these stories and this kind of dialogue with this Sufyan Thawri, who was looking for her advice. And it's very interesting the things that she said and the deep of her understanding and knowledge, because he Sufyan asked, and said, "I asked God for security," and she started crying when she heard these words. And then she replied, "Is that he said, don't you know that security from the world means abandoning God, and that you are now defiled by this?" Meaning that many people, my interpretation of this is that sometimes people, yeah, they want security in the world. They want to find a good job. They want to have a profession. They want to have money. They want to have a good house, a family. They want to feel stable. They want to feel to have many things in the world so they can feel secure. And they ask God, "Please give me this. Give me such a house, such a car, such a wife, such money, such career." Meaning they're looking the protection for the world, and there's a price for this because these things don't fall from heaven. Meaning you have to spend time, years, sacrifice going after these things, and that's why her analytical thinking is so deep. And she wept, she was crying, thinking, "Don't you know that security from this world is going away from God?" Meaning because these things are a distraction and they're moving you away from God. That doesn't mean that you cannot accomplish. You can accomplish. I'm just explaining the idea behind why she said this. It is amazingly deep and profound, the understanding of this woman. And of course, the wrong assumption that these things are the essence of security. On the contrary, security comes from God, not in material things or physical things, which are again important. But her understanding here, and what I get from this is that you cannot lose focus. You cannot ask God from one of these things, which is either is pushing you away. That she said is pushing you away from God. And also when she said that I ask God's forgiveness for my lack of sincerity in asking His forgiveness, and this is quite amazing because a lot of people like to put a big show and show their piety, and they are religious. Look at me, this and that. But how sincere are we with ourselves? We can lie to someone else, we can lie to people, but can we lie to ourselves? Can we lie to God? Because she said, God, forgive me for my lack of sincerity in asking His forgiveness. Meaning that some people could, when they are praying, and say, oh God, forgive me. But inside of themselves, they know that they are not sincere. The question is, can you trick God? Can you fool God? Of course, no. Because if you cannot fool yourself, because you know in your heart that you are not sincere, it's a fake prayer. So to whom do you want to fool? You think that God doesn't know? Meaning, if you are able to recognize inside yourself that I'm not sincere in my prayers, then obviously God knows also that you are not sincere with Him, because He knows everything. He sees everything. In fact, now let's twist this in the other side and look at it from another angle. If someone is able to pray and recognize, God, I am not sincere in my prayers, that's good, because you at least are able to know that you are not sincere, that you have a flaw in yourself and you have to change and fix that. Many people don't recognize that they have mistakes, and they do things, and they don't notice that they are doing something wrong. But if you at least have the ability, the capacity to say, I am not sincere with this, to whom do I want to fool? I cannot fool myself, neither I can fool God. And I ask God forgiveness because I am not sincere when I ask Him for forgiveness. Either because I haven't really fully repented, because I said I'm not going to do this and you keep doing it, or I keep doing it. So now, again, to be able to recognize this in yourself is important, because that means that you have examined yourself, because you know yourself. And how many people, like I said, are out there that they don't even know themselves. So if you can recognize that you are not sincere sometimes, that you say things to God and you are not really fully sincere in your words, that doesn't mean that you're lost. That means that you saw the mistake and you are working on it. So I think this is important also from a psychological point of view. Look at it from both angles, different angles. And this is what she said to God in her prayer. Rabia al-Adawiyya, she said to God, I ask forgiveness for my lack of sincerity in asking His forgiveness. And if a woman who was a saint, so pure and so observant of religious, of rituals, of perfecting her character, uh, she was an ascetic, the perfect model that for us to follow, for someone to, a guide, a teacher, and she was like this, is an example. No one is free from mistakes. Whoever comes with a story that certain people are perfect, don't never make mistakes, okay, well, I don't know to whom or about whom you're speaking. Human beings are imperfect, they make mistakes. Uh, the difference is that those saints, the prophets, they work on themselves. They are closer to God than other human beings. And of course, their character is like the closest to perfection. So that's why they are a guide for us. The best of mankind, the best of humanity. And this is their example. But we are looking here at this woman that even though she's an example, she was able to recognize. She's the one saying it herself that sometimes I'm not sincere. I have to fix. I have to work on myself. And I think this is important to notice and to learn from what she is implying and saying in her writings. Also, another of her phrases, when someone asks her, What is the best thing by which the servant seeks nearness to God Most High? It's an important question. A lot of people want to get close to God, closer to God, but how do you get close to God? And she said that he knows that the servant loves nothing in this world or the next except God. So this is the best way to get close to God. And again, magnificent answer. Why? Because she said, if you really want to get close to God, then you cannot love nothing in this world. Meaning you can use the things in the world because you, after all, you are here because God put you here, and He wants you to live good, not to, you know, um, but you cannot feel attached and think that, oh, my love is to this object or the material things. No, my love, my nearness, my aim in life is to get closer to God and to love Him. So okay, we all got that. We got this point. That's what majority of the people try to do. Okay, but there's a key in her answer also. How do you really get close to God? She said, loving nothing in this world or the next except God. And I think this is important because many mystics also say the same. Loving nothing, neither in the next. Why? Because many people, perhaps the majority in general in all the world, who wants to get close to God, they are also thinking, oh God, give me this in this life, and in the next life, give me a reward, give me paradise. Yeah, I'm working because I want to get salvation. I want to get to paradise. I want to do this and enjoy so many things and so many pleasures and like, and then you have to stop for a moment and think and ask yourself or ask these kind of persons, wait a moment, are you really serving God because you love Him, or are you serving Him because you want Him to reward you? So you want Him or you want His reward? This is the basic question that the devil posed in reference to Ayub, Job. Is he serving you because he loves you or because you give him things? It is a basic question for every human being. Do we serve God because we really love Him, or we serve Him because He is good with us? And okay, therefore God's giving me things, family, wealth, property. He promised me eternal life, paradise. Oh, so good, so happy. I'm gonna serve this God. But what if God decides not to give you anything? Would you still serve Him? And this is an amazing story because this reminds me of another great mystic. And the story goes, it's not the real story, but um, it's a story to make us reflect and think about this. But the story goes with this other mystic that one day, I think he had a dream, and in this dream, a voice from heaven, an angel, someone told him in the dream, he has been decreed in the heavenly court that such and such man, meaning this individual, lost his life in the next world. He lost paradise, meaning you can work on yourself on this earth, whatever, forget it. You are not gonna get into paradise. There's no salvation for you. What do you think was the reaction of this holy man? Oh, perhaps you thought he was he he went and cried or wept and complaining, God, why me? Why these things happen to me? Why not someone else? Me? I am the one who is working. I am the religious. I am this and that. No, this was not the reaction of this man. The reaction of this holy man was he woke up from his dream and he started jumping and singing and dancing and saying to God, thank you, God, thank you. That and now I'm not gonna get any reward because now I can serve you with all my heart without expecting any reward from you, but because of my love for you, now I can fully concentrate in my service, in my worship to you, to prove to you that I can serve you without expecting anything, but just for the sake of serving you, because this is the right thing to do, because you are my creator, because you are my master. And he was happy and dancing and jumping. Someone, if this happens to the majority of the people, it will be sad. Someone tells you you're not gonna get into paradise, you're not gonna get this and that. It's like your whole life you're working for this, for a better life, for the life in the world to come. And someone tells you you're not gonna get there and you wanna be happy for that? Well, this is like Rabia al-Adawiyya when she said, if you wanna get near to God, then you cannot love neither things in this world, neither in the next. That doesn't mean that you, of course, you don't. This doesn't mean that you don't want the things in the next world, or you enjoy things in this world. Again, we have to situate ourselves in the context. The point is that we have to be very clear in why. Why do we worship and why do we serve God? Do we have ulterior motives? If someone questions our integrity, is it because we really love him or because we want something from him? That's an egotistical behavior, meaning you are not sincere in your devotion. You are simply serving him because of the interest. And that's not the case of the pure and true, purified and refined servant. Even if he doesn't give you anything, you still would serve him and worship him because it's the right thing to do, because he is our creator. And this is what Rabia al-Adawiyya is saying. And this is the way to get really close to God. Again, we are talking about here of very exceptional human beings. This is the examples for humanity, the mystics, the one that purify themselves to such an extent. And it's amazing and deep, such a profound psychological thinking. That's why when we analyze the life of mystics and deep religious concepts, then we realize, look at the deep of the human reasoning and the human thinking. And this is, of course, the appropriate way. Meaning, for the common people, for the common individual who doesn't have time for study or for this, he just want to, okay, for this person, yeah, you have to tell them, yeah, serve God, yeah, you know, try to do your best. What can you do? Try to do your best. God loves you. You're gonna get to paradise. And this, okay, no human being. Everybody serves God according to their capacity. But here we're talking about to the elite, the pious, the very holy and devout individuals. This should be um, the real mentality in general for everybody. But you cannot ask this kind of reasoning from someone who is very old or doesn't have knowledge. Or so even though that doesn't mean that they can attain this level, they can. But I'm just explaining in general. People usually they just talk about this. Oh, one day I will get this reward and this is why you find in religion people when they ask things from God and God doesn't give it to them, they get upset. Oh, God doesn't give me what I want. Well, if he doesn't give me what I want, I'm not gonna serve him. And many people leave religion and they're upset and this and that. It's a childish and foolish way of thinking because that proves that you only serve God because of interest and because you only want a reward from him and not because of pure intention. If he doesn't give you anything, would you stop serving him? And that's what the point goes with the teaching of these mystics in general. And it's unbelievable if we really think deep about what this means. What are my motives for serving God? What motivates me to worship God? Fame from the world to show people how perfect I can be, and someone can praise me for my religiousness, for my scrupulous observance of religion. Who are you fooling? Again, you are fooling yourself. No, you know why you're doing things. Are you fooling God? Of course not. You could fool someone else, but you cannot fool neither yourself neither God, and He knows. At the end, it's not a judgment against anyone, but it's a internal reflection for each and all of us. And this is what we got from the explanation of this woman, Rabia al-Adawiyya, when she said this. And I will repeat it again. She said, they asked her, what is the best thing by which the servant seeks nearness to God Most High? She said, that he knows that the servant loves nothing in this world or the next except God. And look at this, I just noticed something. She said that he knows, meaning God, that God knows that his servant loves nothing in this world or the next except him. Because God knows if we are sincere or not. And that's amazing how she puts things in this way. And if God is able to know us, each and every one of us, as he do, then he can look at us and say, look at my servant, how pleased I am with him. He loves me. He doesn't love the world, or he serves me without expecting a reward in this world or in the next. He serves me because he loves me. and he's happy with his servant. And because of this, he says, oh, I will then give him a good life in this world, and I will give him a good life in the next world, in paradise. And this is what we want to get from God. This is what means nearness and closeness to God, because he's pleased with his servant, because his servant worship him for the sake of what is right and what should be done. That's amazing teaching from this woman. Also, when she said to Sufyan another time, Sufyan said to her, we have been saddened by God. And she said, don't lie. You were saddened. If you were saddened, the world would not be enjoyable to you. It's like sometimes some people complain, oh, why this happens to me? I am sad because I lost my job. I am sad because I'm getting this disease. I'm sad because today I woke up with a pain in my right foot. Come on. Stop complaining about things. There are many more things that life could be enjoyable. You have to be thankful that you can be happy. At least you are alive. Be thankful for that. And you can enjoy other things. How many things? You cannot say that a tragedy afflicted us and now this is the end of the world. No. You have to appreciate every little thing that God does. Don't be sad. Because if God could really or have tried for real to sadden you, he could annihilate you. But if you are alive, you can enjoy things. Don't say this. Don't be sad. Be thankful. He's teaching you a lesson. He's testing you because he loves you. This is important to notice. And the last saying, when she said, Rabia al-Adawiyya said, my sorrow is not because I am sorrowful. My sorrow is because I am not sorrowful. And again, we have this double contradiction or paradox, like the previous one that we just analyzed, when she said, I ask God's forgiveness for my lack of sincerity in asking forgiveness. And now she says, my sorrow is not because I am sorrowful. My sorrow is because I am not sorrowful. Meaning, because she's not really regretting something that she had to feel. And she's sorrow because she's not really sorrowful because of what she was supposed to be sorrowful. This is a philosophical dilemma, and I like it. Let's try to make it clear. Let's bring an example right now. For example, someone knows that he's supposed to, let's say, is supposed to pray certain prayer at certain time. He doesn't do it, or this person doesn't do it. Well, she said, my sorrow is not because I am sorrowful. My sorrowful is because I'm not sorrowful. Meaning, this person could be sorry because he didn't do it, the prayer, and because of this, he's sorry. I don't know if that's clear. I am sorrowful because I am not sorrowful that I should be sorrowful. No, so all philosophical thought here. But I don't know if you guys who are listening to these words are getting the point. I'm getting the point, but I don't know if it could be confusing for you. I'm just trying to make it as clear as possible. Meaning that someone who doesn't have a regret, someone who does something who is not right, a sin, for example, and you don't regret it, then you should be sorry that you are not regretting the sin. This is what she means. This is the point. If you do something that is not right, and you don't regret that, then you have to be regretful that you don't regret what should be regretted, and you should ask forgiveness for. This is what she meant. That's what she means by this. And again, coming from her, such a holy woman, that's good lesson. Good lesson because that means that we can identify with people, with holy people also. Everybody has a struggle inside themselves. They are struggling to do what is right. They're fighting against the evil inclination. They try to purify themselves. We all have to go through this. It's in human nature. It's the internal jihad that we all have against our nafs, against ourselves, against our ego, against many things. That evil part is mixed with the good inside of each and every one of us as a result of eating from the tree from the beginning, like our forefathers, Adam and Eve. And at least if we can identify with such holy persons like this woman and many other prophets and saints and very holy people, we see, okay, we can learn from them because we are humans and we could be going through similar things like they went through, and they were successful, and they are pointing for us the way to improve ourselves, to purify ourselves, and to show, look, you are not lost. If you make a mistake, okay, yes, you made a mistake, repent, but don't think it's the end of the world. Don't think you are lost completely and you have lost everything in front of God. No, God knows that the human nature is like this, and He's forgiven if you also recognize that, yes, I made a mistake. If you don't recognize you made a mistake and you were trying to fool God, okay, that's a problem then. Like she explained, and we already explained it already. So these are just a few sayings, but it's amazing from how from these few 4 or 5 sayings that I just quote, how many knowledge and explanation and teachings and things to learn that we can get from such an insight psychological analysis of the life of this woman and her teachings. And this is just a quick analysis, but we could, if we look more deeply and carefully into this, we could bring more and many examples and teachings and learning from the life of this woman and many other holy people and men. I think it's a great thing that in Islam we have women who are example of faith, of perseverance, nearness to God, and they advise other women and men also when seeking their advice. That's amazing, because we don't have also in other civilizations in which women had not really a place. In Islam, we have women who are example, and in the modern world, because Rabia al-Adawiyya, she lived in the, if I'm not mistaken, in the 11th or 12th century, meaning in medieval times, and she is studied even today. She's an example for modern generations. And I will give you the date in which she lived. Oh, she was born in the 8th century, 713 AD in Basra, Iraq, and she died in 801 in Basra, Iraq. And she's buried in the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. And amazing. So we're talking about here a woman who lived in the 8th century and died in the beginning of the 9th century. And that's amazing example of this Muslim saint, Sufi mystic, and he simply studied until this very day all over. I think it not only is an example in Islam for a Muslim, but in general for humanity. Look, that we have a woman who was such light in guide for generations up to our very days. I want to thank you so much for listening to me. In the next podcast, we are going to speak also about another woman who was also another saint, and is very famous. Also, some stories that we know from her. She was a woman from al-Andalus. Her name was Fida, from Malaga. Yes, a city in Andalusia. We will discuss about this in the future podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments, something to add, you're welcome to leave them. Share this video, share this audio on social media and WhatsApp, all over. If you think this could benefit someone else, this is the best way to thank me for what I'm doing. And if not, that's fine also. If you're listening to it, that's great. Thank you so much, and we'll see each other in the next video or in the next podcast.